Hello and thank you for joining us on Nationwide. I'm Naja Atutijani. Remember that this broadcast is always live on our YouTube channel and you can watch the replay afterwards. Do also follow us across all social media platforms. The House of Representatives says it will continue to interface with key players in the power sector towards achieving an electricity tariff as acceptable to investors and consumers. Speaking after a meeting with distribution companies and other electricity stakeholders, the chairman, House Committee on Power, Victor Mokolo, said without a change in electricity tariff, the power sector would lack the capital to upgrade its capacity.
Band A, Band B, Band C is not to discriminate against anybody. But what they are saying that what they have, the existing infrastructure, what service can it deliver, what can it guarantee, that's what is making the difference. And that's why I would say that if it is sustained, will you be able to improve the service? What are we talking about? How long will it take you? You had me ask them, how long will it take you to improve, to install a better capacity that will ensure that people get light for 20, even if Nigerians get light for 12 hours now, I think we are better off than no light for 3 weeks. We had a member say that for 1 month.
The committee promised to further hold consultations with the Transmission Company of Nigeria, generation companies and other electricity stakeholders to find a middle ground in recent increase in the electricity tariff. The National Security Advisor, Malam Nuhu Ribadu, says the federal government is adopting a comprehensive framework to address security challenges and reposition the nation's economy for peace and sustainable development in the country. Bashir Ibrahim Nababa reports that the NSA was speaking as a guest lecturer at a pre-convocation lecture at the Usman Danfodio University, Sokoto.
Pre-convocation lecture is part of activities lined up for the combined convocation ceremony of the Usman Danfodio University, Sokoto, scheduled for this Saturday. The guest lecturer and Nigeria's National Security Advisor, Malam Nuhu Ribadu, in his paper titled Navigating the Maze, Addressing Multidimensional Insecurity Challenges in Nigeria, blends prevalence of banditry, kidnappings, and other security challenges in northern Nigeria on extreme poverty, lack of education, proliferation of arms, corruption and injustice, among others.
The agenda includes provisions for bolstering security forces, implementing community-based security initiatives, promoting socio-economic development, and fostering intercommunal dialogue to address grievances and foster reconciliation.
The National Security Advisor shows that the federal government is serious about tackling security challenges, stressing that from inception of Bola Tinubu's administration, they have so far freed more than 1,000 people in captivity of bandits, including abducted students. The NSA stated that the Central Bank of Nigeria's commitment towards restoring the strength of the naira against the dollar was part of efforts by the government to boost the local economy and enhance people's lives. Chairman of the occasion, Nigeria's ambassador to the United Nations, Professor Tijan Mohamed Bandi, underscores the importance of the lecture and commended the guest lecturer for presenting a well-researched paper that highlights the nature of banditry in northern Nigeria and efforts by security agencies to arrest the situation. Vice Chancellor Usman Danfodio University, Sokoto, Professor Lawal Suleiman Bilbis, while appreciating the NSE and other dignitaries for addressing the occasion, pledges commitments of the university management towards ensuring peace and economic development in the north and Nigeria as a whole. From Sokoto, Bashir Ibrahim Nababa, NTA News.
Thank you, Ibrahim Nababa. Meanwhile, towards tackling security challenges, mitigating maximum crude oil production in the country, the Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, has reiterated the military's commitment to working in synergy with key players in the oil and gas sector. General Musa, who had an interface with the Minister of State Petroleum Resources, Heineken Lukpobiri in Abuja, said realizing the federal government's mandate of increasing production is sacrosanct. Lydia Sampson reports.
Crude oil theft and illegal refining remain major concerns with multiplier effect on security and oil production in the country. The renewed synergy between the Ministry of Petroleum Resources and the armed forces is to tackle the inherent issues head-on.
Things are looking very, very positive. There's lots of improvements within the area. A lot of the issues we're having challenges with the illegal refineries, the pollution of the environment, and all these things have gone drastically down, and production is going up. This is a show that we are really hitting the ground running, and that we want to appeal to all Nigerians to join hands together with you and security forces to ensure that we secure whatever it is that God has given us.
The ministry has the sole mandate of ensuring that we manage the oil and gas sector, we work very closely with you, and provide all the support that you need, so that we can address this problem once and for all.
They are on the same page that optimally harnessing the nation's God-given hydrocarbon is the quickest way to solving the country's economic challenges. They are optimistic that tackling these economic sabotage requires collaboration and sustainable synergy among stakeholders. In Abuja, Lydia Samson, NTA News.
The Nigerian army has released the traditional ruler earlier declared wanted in connection with the gruesome murder of 17 soldiers in Delta State on 14th March 2024. The traditional ruler, King Clement Ogenerukwe, and 7 others were allegedly involved in the act, but the traditional ruler voluntarily submitted himself to the Nigeria Police Force, which later handed him over to the army for further investigation.
Since his surrender, the Nigerian army has painstakingly reviewed every available information on the incident and has come to some preliminary observations and inferences, one of which is that while culpability has not been conclusively established against the traditional ruler, there is insufficient evidence to exonerate anyone at this stage.
Ogenerukwe was released to the senator representing his district, Senator Ede Dafinoni, who stood as his surety.
The army encourage others to make themselves available for questioning, and that they are guaranteed their fair and decent treatment, and will be strictly subjected to constitutional provisions for handling such cases if found culpable.
I will, of course, make him available should they require any further interaction with him to assist with the investigations.
My prayer is that all those who have committed this heinous crime be brought to book.
Defense correspondent Ismail Musa reports that the ruler was released after a news conference where the Nigerian army promised due diligence in the ongoing investigation. Still on security, Operation Delta Sanity says it has stemmed the tide of criminal activities within the nation's maritime borders to the barest minimum and restored the confidence of legitimate business operators. This was Commander NNS Jubilee Martin Faroga said this while speaking on efforts of the command to improve security along coastal lines. Clement Barikui reports.
The commander NNS Jubilee, Commodore Martins Fakruga, says with the introduction of Operation Delta Sanity, several arrests made to serve as deterrents while recovering bunkery equipment.
The arrest of MV Jasmine, which with collaboration with one of the IOCs, we were able to identify, track them from the oil well which they were stealing, and pursue them up to the border within Cameroon. And with some diplomatic connections, they were pushed back into Nigerian waters before they were arrested and handed over to Ikulu, handed over the vessel to Ibaka.
This feat, the commander note, is made possible in collaboration with sister security agencies in Akwa Ibom states. Clement Barikui, NTA News.
Kano State government is set to reopen the Corporate Security Training Institute with a view to complementing President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's efforts in addressing the nation's security challenges. Governor Abba Kabir Yusuf made this known during an unscheduled visit to the permanent site of the institute in Gabasawa local government area. Abdullahi Mustafa was there for NTA News.
This is the permanent site of the Kano State Corporate Security Training Institute, Gabasawa. Its construction was completed in March 2015. Design and construction works were supervised by the then Kano State Commissioner of Works and Housing, Abba Kabir Yusuf. In the same month, it was inaugurated by the then national leader of the All Progressives Congress APC, Bola Ahmed Tinubu. 8 years later, fate smiled on both of them. The project supervisor is the governor of Kano State, while the APC national leader is Nigeria's president. Unfortunately, however, same could not be said about prospective trainees of the institute, as it was closed down less than a year after the inauguration ceremony. Most of the training facilities have either been removed or destroyed. Lecture halls and dormitories are equally inhabitable as a result of years of disuse. During an unscheduled visit, Governor Yusuf directed for the immediate rehabilitation and reactivation of the institute, which he believes would boost security manpower.
And we just gave the directive to those concerned that they should mobilize young carpenters, welders, and so on to come and renovate to rehabilitate all the furniture and other facilities here.
By so doing, the governor stressed his administration would be complementing President Tinubu's efforts in addressing security challenges being faced in many parts of the country. In Kano, Abdullahi Mustafa, NTA News.
Meanwhile, stakeholders have reiterated the need for increased synergy in the war against proliferation of small arms and light weapons in Nigeria. This was highlighted at a seminar organized by the National Center for the Control of Small Arms and Light Weapons in Enugu. Matthew Amoke's report is presented.
According to the 2016 United Nations report, Nigeria accounts for 70% of 10 million illicit arms in West Africa. This is attributed to such factors as massive influx of weapons, porosity of many parts of Nigeria and international borders, as well as growing arms smuggling business. The one-day stakeholders seminar brought relevant agencies and stakeholders, including the military, police, civil societies, and the media to brainstorm on how to control illicit arms and weapons due to its negative impact on the society.
We are gathered here today as concerned citizens, driven by a passion for peace and security in our society. We have gathered also because the impact of uncontrolled proliferation of small arms and light weapons in Nigeria is of grave concern to every citizen and organization that is presented here today.
Keynote lecturers and other participants at the seminar elaborated on the need to pool resources and efforts to combat the security menace threatening the nation. In Enugu, Chiegono Aro, NTA News.
Now for a walk down memory lane. The southern part of Kebbi State for many years experienced quantum share of banditry and kidnapping, leaving families displaced, communities abandoned. The story is, however, different today, thanks to the federal government and Kebbi State government's intervention in affected areas. Correspondent Abdul Muhammad Bawa reports.
Over the years, banditry and kidnapping became the order of the day in the southern part of Kebbi State. For example, Bena Market, a major grain market also in Kebbi South, was completely abandoned after several banditry attacks, crippling socio-economic activities in the area. Farmers abandoned their livelihoods and animal husbandry declined due to rustling, taking a toll on the agricultural feed of the state. The Yauri school girls kidnapped easily comes to mind, as well as many others in Zuru axis.
Before I used to come to Bena Market every day. but due to insecurity, almost 3 years, I can't visit my relatives, but now, alhamdulillah, the situation is okay. The place you people went now, before if you give me 50 million naira, I will not go there. I was kidnapped twice there. My car was shot twice on that road.
The battle against this ugly menace has been fierce and tough for security agencies who cannot win the fight with the little available logistics. But as soon as intervention from both the federal and state government came to the rescue, it was a big sigh of relief to the people. This was through the provision of security vehicles and apparatus to the local vigilantes, the police, civil defense, army and the DSS.
Getting this vehicle will make you people and your officers and men to feel a sense of belonging and add more effort to ensure that you curb the security challenge that we have in Kebbi State.
Thank God economic activities have picked up in these areas and relief has not come only to the people, but spared government the pain of catering for internally displaced persons, as IDP camps can no longer be found anywhere in the state. Although Kebbi State is winning the battle, the war continues until it is completely eliminated. In Birnin Kebbi, Abdul Muhammad Bawa, NTA News.
And joining us live from Kebbi, Birnin Kebbi, is Abdul Jalil to tell us more about how Kebbi State is winning the war against banditry, kidnapping, and also the state of security right there in Kebbi State. Abdul Jalil, thanks for joining us. Now, tell us, it's the biggest takeaway from your report is that there are no more IDP camps. Care to tell us more about the state of security, how security has contributed to this?
In the past, communities such as Malekachi, Anguat Dan Sadau, Anguat Dan Sanda, Ayu, Sawade, among others, in Kebbi South, were all deserted by people that are in that area due to these banditry and kidnapping activities. But thanks to the federal government by sending armored tanks to the police and the state government by distributing about 375 motorcycles to the local vigilante to complement the effort of the security, as well as distributing patrol vehicles to all security agencies in the state in order to curtail the menace. And with that, people in those areas are now back to their communities, conducting their businesses. Farming activities are back. As you can see in the report, Bena Market is one of the market, the larger market that contribute in the rice distribution in Kebbi State, and it is now back to life. And above all, there is a army camp station between Malekachi, which is in Kebbi State, and Kwantagora, which is in Niger State, just some few kilometers, because the bandits that are operating in Kebbi State are mostly coming from Niger State. They will operate and go back. However, there is a similar route which does Angwardan Umaru that are bordering Zamfara State, which the people urge the federal government to mount another army camp in that area, and they believe with that insecurity in Kebbi State will become a thing of the past, because there are only two routes that these people are coming in. They will operate and go back.
Abdul Jalil, your report also states that, of course, the economic situation in the state is thriving due to some of these measures put in place. Care to tell us how this has contributed to the livelihood of farmers and, of course, women in the state in general?
Well, if you in the report you saw women in their farms working to contribute their own quota to food security in the state and the country. So the level at which government is confronting the issue has contributed in the fight against insecurity in the state, because businesses are now thriving in all those areas. No area is now deserted by the people. All of them are in the farm conducting their farming activities. When you go to the weekly market, they are all back, not like before.
Abdul Jalil, I'm very happy to hear that. Good news, as I'm sure are Nigerians, to hear that Kebbi State is winning the war against banditry and the economic situation is thriving.
Thank you.
Abuja has discharged and acquitted former Attorney General and Minister of Justice Mohammed Adoke SAN on money laundering counts brought against him by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. The presiding judge, Justice Nyang Eko, while delivering a ruling on a no-case submission filed by Adoke, held that the EFCC failed to establish sufficient evidence against him. The court also ruled that Aliu Abubakar, the second defendant, has to open his defense because he has a case to answer. In the 14-count charge filed by EFCC against them, Adoke is accused of receiving the dollar equivalent of 300 million naira from Aliu Abubakar.
Today, God has made it. We won our case also in High Court, Federal High Court 5. So we thank God.
Has adjourned until April 22 for Abubakar to open his defense. Meanwhile, a dispute over who is the authentic national president of the Association of Local Governments of Nigeria has been settled by the Federal High Court in Abuja, as the court declined jurisdiction to entertain the matter. This was in a suit filed by one Abdullahi Abubakar, a factional president of Algon, and one Shuaib Oni Hoi Sha'aban, against another factional president of the association, David Akolade Alabi. The court in its judgment affirmed Alabi as Algon's duly recognized president, jettisoning claims that he leads a local council development area in Lagos, but LCDAs are not recognized by the 1999 constitution. Required by law. The federal government says the proposed review in the justice sector will take cognizance of the act which criminalized the commission of suicide in Nigeria. The Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice Lateef Fagbemi SAN stated this in Abuja while receiving a group of advocates on decriminalization of attempted suicide. Dele Atumbi reports.
The Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Lateef Fagbemi SAN, explained that right to life as a blue right is sacrosanct and takes the center stage in the administration of President Bola Tinubu. Fagbemi SAN maintained that the fundamental rights of the people, as enshrined in Chapter 4 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, are non-derogable rights. The Chief Law Officer of the nation promised that in collaboration with the Federal Ministry of Health, the act criminalizing attempted suicide due to mental issues will be looked into. Fagbemi SAN equally said that the implementation of the Mental Health Act 2021 will be given the priority it deserves.
The issue of health occupies a key position in the minds of this administration. And for you to have singled out two means a lot to us. We want to partner with those who have things to offer. The criminalization of suicide. First I want to say that even apart from attempted suicide, it is an ameliorating factor to say that a man who was alleged to have committed an offense was not in a good state of health.
Seeking the intervention of your good office to weigh in, for this advocacy that we have brought today, such that, again, statistics indicate that we have at least maybe 1 in every 4 persons would deal with one mental health disorder or another.
Over the world, the medical evidence shows now
that 80 to 90% of those who will attempt suicide, there is background mental illness, especially depression.
It is the belief of the advocates that the implementation of Mental Health Act 2021 will go a long way in stemming the tide of mental health issues in Nigeria. In Abuja, Dele Atumbi, NTA News.
This is Nationwide. Stay tuned for more reports after this time out. It's nice to know you're still watching Nationwide. Nigeria is estimated to be losing food worth 3.5 trillion naira annually, threatening the country's food security. The Minister of Agriculture and Food Security says the government is aware of the challenges and is working to reduce the loss. Musa Baba Aliu reports.
Nigeria was listed among countries with the highest records of post-harvest losses in Africa. It is estimated that farmers are losing about 20% of grains, 30 to 35% of tubers, and 60% of vegetables every season. This conference is aimed at identifying challenges and food insecurity associated with post-harvest losses and the way out.
Nigeria as a government, we are ready to partner with all international, regional, and national agencies and organizations that have solutions to reduce post-harvest losses, either at the technical level, at the financial level, or at the social level.
It will help us to save more grains.
Aliu Sabi Abdullahi, the Minister of State for Agriculture and Food Security, says government is deploying innovation and modern technology that will upscale agricultural activities in the country. Donor agencies, including IFAD, IITA and USAID, have pledged to support Nigerian farmers with technical know-how on pre- and post-harvest management. Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
And now let's join Musa Ajingi in Kaduna. I don't know why I keep mixing up my colleague's name, but I'm sure he understands. He's standing by in Kaduna with more news.
Much Najat, you are welcome to Kaduna. The 1 division of the Nigerian Army has inaugurated the Inter-Brigade Corporal Competition 2024 at the 3 Brigade headquarters in Kano. Fatima Sanusi Garai reports that the 4-day competition is part of effort to improve the combat proficiency of non-commissioned officers of the Nigerian Army from the rank of corporal and below.
A total number of 50 soldiers from each of the 3 participating formations within 1 division were selected. Among the events to be competed for are obstacle crossing, combat shooting, map reading, combat swimming, and weapon handling. The objective is to improve combat proficiency, physical fitness, leadership skills, as well as prepare the soldiers for battle readiness, considering the current security challenges in the country.
Training has remained a fundamental precursor for all military operations. This is premised on the fact that troops' performance in peace and war is a direct result of the qualities of their training.
The general officer commanding 1 division represented said the Nigerian Army will always be combat ready in carrying out its mandate, while noting that competition of this nature will enable troops to maintain their level of physical and mental fitness.
Training. We just go back to the drawing board and retain our personnel in order for them to accommodate more of these challenges wherever they are deployed.
All the events to be competed for will take place within the 3 brigade locations except for combat shooting, which will take place at the Nigerian Police Range, Kano. In Kano, Fatima Sanusi Garai, NTA News.
The Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps Kaduna State Command has paraded 3 suspects accused of vandalizing electrical installations belonging to Kaduna Electric Distribution Company. The suspect will be charged to court upon completion of investigation. A report.
These
concern over the incidence of vandalism of electrical installations in some communities across the country. Warbe village in Zaria, Kaduna State is one among these communities in the country, contending with activities of vandals, which sometimes results to epileptic power supply in places affected. This worrisome situation prompted concerned citizens of the village to team up and fight the scourge, which resulted in the arrest of 3 suspects.
Information came from the communities, and officers of CADVs, civil defense were informed, and they went to the grassroots and they made sure these miscreants were nabbed. And interestingly, these miscreants confess to the crime.
Muhammad Ismail and Muhammad Nasir, who have been accused of committing the crime, said the electrical installations were delivered to his houseman.
The real thieves have run away to an unknown destination. Our job is to provide information to the vandals.
They buy. If they bring up they carry and go give the person. After the person buy, now can they give them their money? Yes. Not me the receiver. The guy don't run. Not my business. This one I be the first time. Yes, not there by be.
The commandant, Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, Lucy Fakoya, emphasized that parading the suspect will serve as a deterrent to those nursing the ambition of vandalizing federal government infrastructures. And that's our contributions from Kaduna. Back to Najatu Tijani in Abuja studio. Najatu, good evening.
Very much, Muhammad Umar Ajingi. And now we're talking climate matters. Now, the Osun State is one of the 31 states likely to face flooding this year, predicts the Nigeria Hydrological Services Agency. And as flood-prone areas and people living in communities along riverbanks in the state are apprehensive of the prediction, Kayode Oladosu in this report takes a look at efforts being put in place by Osun State government to mitigate the effects of flooding.
It has been a yearly occurrence in some parts of Osun State to witness flood in the aftermath of a heavy downpour. The downpour, which causes overflows of most rivers and streams, has rendered some residents homeless, destroyed farmlands, as well as some public infrastructures. With the onset of 2024 rainfall across Osun State, the state government has commenced dredging of rivers and other waterways to combat flood in the state.
The approach we adopted this time around is to open all the receptacle rivers within the state, and majorly Osun River, we are realigning it to pave way for large volume of water, and it is not limited to the state capital. We are moving around all the nooks and crannies of the state.
The effort is applauded by the residents.
This is a very good work government is doing now. I think it's a welcome development for the society now.
It's almost every year. But about this dredging now, we are very happy of what government are doing to help us enlarge the river so that the river can be flowing freely without affecting our building and some other things. We are very happy about it.
In light of this, the state government urged residents to avoid dumping waste on waterways, while those living along floodplains were advised to relocate. In Oshogbo, Kayode Oladosu, NTA News.
And Kayode is live in Oshogbo to tell us more about the situation. Hello, Kayode. Now, like you highlighted in your report, Osun State is prone to flooding. As the report says, it has been a yearly occurrence. I mean, you're in Oshogbo, which witnessed a flood, a devastating one last year. That was in July 2023, when Sasa Market was flooded, and of course, Ikire Town in July 2023. Now, what, apart from, you've mentioned that the government is dredging and putting some other efforts in place, would you care to first of all highlight that? Tell us more, expand rather on some of these successes and achievements in mitigating the effects of flood.
Let me quickly analyze it in this way. The rainy season, as it's setting here in Osun State, while some neighboring states are waiting anxiously for the rain, here in Osun, though it is not yet constant, but it has started raining. And Osun State has never been spared, like you said, from destructive hand of flooding. Last year, we could recap that it wreaked havoc in Atikuri, destroying houses, while here at the state capital, houses close to this bank, the River Osun, we are not spared at all. With just few times now that it has started raining this year, part of the state like Iloko, Ijesha are already feeling the effect. Several areas within the metropolis have suffered severely from incessant flood occurrence on yearly basis. And this is not a thing that the state government is not looking at. The state government is now ready to make sure that all river banks and all rivers within the state, they are ready, they are dredging the river to expand the river, not only in Osogbo but across towns and communities within Osun State, so that the river we have there will be free flow of waste during the rainy season. The Ministry of Environment and Sanitation said that the government not only focus on dredging of this river, but has also commenced deployment of temporary flood barriers like portable flood gates, flood walls and flood skates in all flood-prone areas in the state. And then this is an opportunity for every community in the state, so that the dredging efforts aim to remove silt and then debris build up from the river belt, which can impede the flow of water during the any heavy rainfall in the state. The state government says that public awareness campaigns are being conducted to educate residents about safety precautions and preventive measures to minimize the impact of flooding on their livelihood and their well-being. That is the situation at this moment.
Kayode, but before we go though, you did mention that it has had, of course, some devastating effect on some farm practices. Care to tell us some of these crops most affected and how the farmers are overcoming the effects?
Is the early season farm products like this planting of maize, and then the vegetables. Those people that are planting vegetables that are the river banks, they try as much as possible to listen to government. They have to make sure that the opportunity given to them to evacuate from the river banks that are the river banks, that they should move away from it. And then the farmers on their own, they have already taken into consideration to follow the temporary flood barriers that the government created for them, so that there won't be overflow of all these interlands of the river during the rainy season when it fully occurred.
Very much, Kayode. It's good to know that the communities are also playing their part. And now that I've been speaking with our correspondent from Osogbo in Osun State on what the government is doing to mitigate the effects of flooding, considering the prediction this year. The astronomical rise in the price of drugs in Nigeria is likely to come down soon, with expected open doors for investors with increased funding to the healthcare sector in Nigeria. This is as the World Bank has announced plans to support countries in delivering quality, affordable health services to 1.5 billion people by 2030. Muplang Dakok reports.
The World Bank is putting health issues on the front burner in a high-level meeting when the world is faced with several problems like inflation, climate change, and conflict. Nigeria's Minister of Health, Ali Pate, says with increasing domestic financing for health in sight, improving efficiency, enhancing transparency and accountability are top on Nigeria's agenda.
What we're trying to do in Nigeria is articulated a vision, a direction, defragmented the landscape with the subnational levels also aligning with us, and having our supportive global partners come to back us up with financing, with technical support, but following leadership of government and using national systems that are more sustainable and let's hold each other accountable.
There's really strong momentum and leadership. So how are we going to position ourselves to support this change, to support this dynamic, and invest in such a way that allows governments to have ownership?
Strong partnerships were advocated as catalysts to achieve results in health. And the minister says Nigeria will open the door for more private sector investments, especially in local production of medication. From Washington, D.C., Muplan Dakok, NTA News.
Still on health, back home in Nigeria, away from health rather, the 2024 Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination organized by the Joint Admissions and Matriculations Board has commenced across the states of the Federation. A total of 1.98 million candidates are expected to write the examination in 770 CBT centers. Olainka Ojo reports that parents and guardians yielded to the board's warning to stay away from the examination venues to avoid arrest.
Some of the candidates in this examination center participated in the mock exercise aimed at preparing them for the examination proper. Now, it is time for the candidates to convince the examiner, and they have 2 hours to do just that. At this center in Buhari, the examination started at exactly 8 a.m. after all checks and balances were carried out.
The timing, everything is good, no problem.
It was somehow hard.
Although 25 CBT centers were delisted for various forms of irregularities. Registrar of JAMB, Professor Isha Koloede, while lauding the collaboration with security agencies, said the board discovered that some candidates were given their details to fraudsters.
All those who are involved, they are already in the net, and that's very good for us. And those who benefited from the fraud, they will not go scot-free. We will make sure even when they are on NYC, we have spoken with the NYC, they will pay for it, even those who are working among them.
And based on investigations, as at the time of filing this report, of the 770 CBT centers conducting the examination across the country, only one CBT center is experiencing some technical hitch.
I expect about 10% of the centers to have one problem or the other, because we know the level of development in different parts of the country.
Where I'm standing during examinations used to be a beer of activities for parents. But in adherence to the Riot Act read by JAMB, it is a shadow of itself, as no parent want to be seen arrested by security operatives.
Part of it, for credibility, parents should not go closer to the centers. You allow your wards to go in and perform by themselves.
By the end of the first day of the examination, more than 577,000 candidates would have written the examination out of the 1.98 million registered candidates. Olainka Ojo, NTA News.
This is Nationwide. Do stay tuned for more reports. It's nice to know you're still watching Nationwide, and we're talking the plight of elderly persons living with disabilities in Nigeria, and efforts to alleviate their plight are yielding positive results as the National Senior Citizen Center hands over assistive devices to Cross River and Benue State governments for onward distribution to aged persons living with disabilities. Elizabeth Omori reports that representatives of the benefiting states applaud the collaboration, which underscores the importance of partnership in addressing the diverse needs of older persons. The gesture, they say, is in furtherance of actions to promote inclusivity and mobility.
Agenda is a people first mantra, and it's key towards helping and releasing people from poverty and refocusing the state for economic progress.
We are going to give you representatives of the Benue State team. We are working towards domesticating the activities of this agency center to Benue State. First of all, once we go back to the drawing board, and we make sure that we send the bill to assembly towards mitigating these activities and values there.
The NSCC boss Omokaro says senior citizens will continue to benefit from initiatives of government to make life comfortable.
Participate. That brings a lot of loneliness and isolation. So anything that is a government can do to assist that access and inclusion and participation and the sense that they still belong in spite of the disabilities, that is truly, truly remarkable.
The assistive devices include walking aids and hearing aids, among other devices. The Social Democratic Party, SDP, is advocating collaboration with the government to strengthen democratic institutions and make the economy viable. The national chairman of the party, Shehu Kabam, says the party's doors are open to those who share in the ideology of the party towards fostering a conducive political environment for national prosperity. Kenneth Nanim reports.
In the unity of the country, its diversity, and the capability of its people, the SDP National Chairman Shehu Kabam says is a driving force for the party towards a dedicated service in the best interests of Nigerians, explaining the aspiration of SDP to become the leading party in Nigeria and beyond by proffering solutions rather than mere criticisms. The national chairman also acknowledges President Tinubu's economic policies that are achieving results in currency stability, but disagree to the removal of subsidies, particularly on fuel and electricity, which it says has further added more socio-economic burden on the shoulders of citizens.
We are not doing anything to pull down the roof. We understand the dynamics of opposition and what it takes. We have to work together with the government to strengthen the institutions of democracy, to strengthen our economy, to create an inviting political base for the country to strive. If we suffocate the system, we will all pay for it, irrespective of our party differences. In SDP, we don't belong to any of these sentiments.
Some House of Representatives members from the party urge government to adequately harness the potential of the extractive industry to take advantage of the huge gas deposit in the country to drive the transport sector and ensure reduction of market price of commodities.
We have come by way of legislation to repeal and reenact it, to enact the law 2007, to make sure that we put in place things that will allow them the levity to make policies that will drive the solid mineral sector for us to get our place in the pride of nations.
They also advise government to be cautious of those who seek political relevance in order not to sabotage the policies meant for the good of Nigerians. Kenneth Nanim, NTA News.
On that patriotic note, we conclude Nationwide this Friday. Thanks for staying with the NTA.